you can create your life. And this is something I want to bring up too in like manifestation. And, I am a woman of faith, but for me, I never really thought visualizing or writing affirmations or, like I still journaling. It wasn't my thing before, but it wasn't until I wanted a shift in my life, I wanted a change, that I started doing all these different types of, I would say, ways to improve personally that really helped to change my life overall.
Hi guys, welcome to NextGen Wealthcast. My name is Akash Jain. I'm your host, and I'm super excited to welcome a very dear friend, Zasha Smith, all the way from Maui, Hawaii. Zasha, welcome to the show.
Aloha!
Hey, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, you and I, we've met up at a number of conferences. We've talked about a bunch of things. I know you do some extremely good work around the community, as well as I know that you are an avid investor in various different asset classes. So for the benefit of our viewers, why don't you start us off with Zasha's story? I know you have an amazing story. Let's get our listeners tuned into who's Zasha.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to always connect with you and add value however I can. So for me, I grew up here in Hawaii, in the island, and was raised by a single mom, no financial background, no money, no real estate, and kind of lived I wouldn't say rough life, but we were struggling. We lived in low income housing. And for me, I think my only way out, or my only way of being successful that I was taught, was to follow the traditional route, which was go to college, find a way to get there. And so I graduated from Maui High and booked a one-way ticket to California on my own with no family, no nothing. Just went, applied to colleges there, got in. And I knew that if I wanted to eventually move back home or even live in California, I had to be a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. So to me, the easiest of those three is an engineer. So that's what I became. I majored in civil engineering, was able to move back home, worked as an engineer for 10 years. But there was this point in my career where I was working six days a week. And then I had forgotten to finish something for a project. And at that time, I was licensed, stamping plans, doing huge subdivisions, developments, office buildings, hotel renovations, multi-million dollar project. And the one thing I didn't have that I realized was time. And the people who were suffering was my family. And so I just remember my husband telling me a quote that I never forget. And I always remind people to look back on, at the end of your life, like, what are you going to regret the most? It's spending time with the ones that you loved and having experiences. So my husband said this: they're getting the best of you and we're getting the rest of you. And for me, I was like, it made me take a step back to, what am I doing with my life? And then I realized that my boss was going in 7 days a week. And she was the next level, kind of the top. She was a VP of the company. I was basically, a few steps under her. But if I'm already working 6 days a week, she's working 7, that's what my life is going to be. And so for me, that's when I knew something had to change. I had to figure out another way that I could be there more for my family and make at least the amount that I was making at that job. So I think, like any kind of millennial, I Googled, how to quit my job and get rich. And a lot of people came up that own real estate. And for me, living in Hawaii, where the median home price is $1 million, it's like, how are all these people owning real estate? They must have a lot of money. They must come from money. But to my surprise, once I started listening to podcasts and hearing other people's stories, they actually, a lot of them learned it on their own, and then, networked with the right people, got the education, and opportunities came because they made that a priority in their life. And so for me, I think that was a mindset shift that, I don't need a lot of money to do real estate or to buy all these houses. And if they did it, I can do it. And I think, right, even with this podcast, just listening to other people's stories consistently gives you a different perspective that I think that a lot of people need. Because when you're working your 9 to 5, you're just worried about paying bills or your family, you're not really getting to be creative with your thoughts or thinking about other ways other than getting another job of how you can provide for your family. So that was the biggest breakthrough for me into getting into what launched me into true wealth.
Very, very cool story there, Zasha. Hey, time freedom. We all talk
Mhm.
about financial freedom. And sometimes we talk about time freedom. Hey, a lot of the people who want financial freedom, they want it because they don't want to work 40, 60 hours a week. Mainly it's all about financial freedom. We don't talk about time freedom. And you touched on a very important subject also these days, right? Even right after COVID, right? We talk about location freedom, right? That's the third freedom that we have with what you're getting into, right? Hey, time freedom, financial freedom, and location freedom. They're getting the best
Mhm.
of me, and we are getting the rest of you, right? Wow, what a saying! I'm gonna steal that from one of my posts here, and so hey, that is phenomenal. That is phenomenal. And you know what? I am a computer engineer by training as well. So my bachelor's is computer engineering. We have an engineer. We have two engineers talking on this podcast now. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Zasha, tell us a little bit about what you're working on right now. Any particular projects that you're working on, or you're sitting on the sidelines like everybody else these days? What's going on?
So for right now, especially in this past year, so just to give a background is once I got into real estate, I started fixing and flipping. I made, over $1 million, started buying rentals and then got into multifamily, like you own several as well. And for me, I was just trying to figure out, okay, how can I make this more passive? Because I got it basically made another job by fix and flipping. And I was able to raise a lot of money through social media. So that's another aspect that anybody can do is start to share their story online. And I think to this day, I was able to raise 7 million from social media, which is, not a lot comparative to people who've raised more than that. But we have other networks where we raise money. But just to give you an example, that people are watching you and they want to invest with you. And even podcasts like this, you never know what might trigger somebody to want to use their money in a different way. And so for me, it's just been truly just connecting with people. And I mean, I feel like a lot of businesses, it comes down to the people that are running it, the people that are operating it. Like, do you know, like, and trust them? And for me, social media has been a huge way where I can gain their trust without even having to meet them at first. So right now since I have my rental income, we have other business income. I started getting into venture capital. So I did my first venture capital investment last year. And this year, we're really focused. We have a debt and equity fund as well for real estate. And we're focused mainly on debt deals. So we lend to other fix and flippers, and then we get a return. And that has been consistent for us and a little bit more conservative. So I wouldn't say I'm waiting on the sidelines, but I am definitely in my own portfolio reevaluating what are giving me the highest returns and what are not. And I've been selling off the ones that, or getting out of different partnerships that might not be benefiting me right now. So even though the market for me isn't, I'm not as scaling as quickly as I was in the beginning. I think it's always a good idea in any business to take a step back and reanalyze the numbers, right? What is profitable? What is not as profitable? What takes more of your time? What doesn't? And then, it's always good to pivot or just figure out, what's best serving you in this point, in this season in your
Very,
life.
very great advice there, Zasha. And again, I think, guys, you have a powerhouse here in Zasha. She's doing venture capital. She's doing a debt fund. She's doing fix and flips. She's doing some multifamily. So with various different asset classes. And for Zasha, if I understand correctly, what is your most favorite asset class out of these? Seems like it's debt fund right now.
Yes. For me, it's just how do you get your money to turn around quickly? So for me, I don't like gamble. I have my stock market, I have my other investments that are longer term and in it for the long run. But for the debt investing, you can lend to someone for 6 to 8 months, get your return, and then kind of keep recycling that money. So I think what I've learned over the past couple years is the ability to be able to pivot faster when things are happening in the economy is might be more beneficial for the time that you're in, or not having to wait 3, 4, 5 years in order for a return, and just doing what is best for you in that moment in
So
time.
what you're talking about, you're giving us a lesson in velocity of money, I guess, right? Hey,
Yeah.
the quicker you're able to turn it around, the better returns you're able to make, and that you're able to achieve using a debt fund. Very cool, very cool, very
Mhm.
cool. Zasha, tell us a little bit about your hobbies, or what is it that you like to do in your free time, if you have any.
So I am really big in currently I'm really big in our community. So last weekend we decorated a golf cart for the Christmas parade. We do things like we volunteer at our church a lot. So I'm more so trying to give back more of my time that I got back and really be helping other people physically and just right in front of them. And just, I think nowadays too, with the internet and all this, everything being online, there's less like human interaction. So just doing more of those things help ground me and bring me back to, okay, this is who we're serving. This is the difference that I want to make. And being able to just connect with other people, because I even noticed that with my kids. It's difficult to teach somebody how to interact with another person if they're not really around people a lot. So I think moving forward, especially with AI, being at the forefront and being able to do a lot of different things that people are paid to do, like that social interaction, that leadership, that just what makes you you is going to be the difference in how you can add value into the economy moving forward. Because nobody, especially when it comes to experience, right? You have all this experience that maybe AI can know how to, and you have an AI company. So maybe this is a challenge for you. Like, what do you think like AI can do a lot, but what do you think that it can't do? Or what do you think is not replaceable at this time?
Again, I think those are some great questions, Asha. Hey, I was going to pivot to AI in our conversation. I'm glad you did it for me. AI, there, various different stages in AI. And right now, we
Mm-hmm.
are able to do a lot of things autonomously, right? There are a few companies out there which are also trying to emulate our brain, our voice, our movements. Hey, the technology is out here where this podcast could be run by AI posing as me and you posing as you and having a conversation. So that technology is out there. Now, what I'm not worried about AI right now, primarily because AI replacing humans primarily right now, because I don't think it can think that much for us. I think that compassion that you talk about
Mm-hmm.
with the community, it doesn't have that. Hey, that love, that feelings that you have for your family and your loved ones, it cannot have that. It is going to be very, very mechanical, if you may. Once it starts having that, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
where we're gonna be. It's gonna be an apocalypse. I gotta remember that name. Hey, because then the robots are gonna take over the world, and hey, we have
Mm-hmm.
seen in Terminator what's gonna happen, right? I'm not looking forward to that, but I think we are a little bit away from that. Hey,
Yeah, me
talking
as
about
well.
AI, hey, how I know you are very big in Instagram. You have a lot of followers. I follow you. I watch your reels. I see you in having a good time with your family, with your husband and your kids, and playing around. And I believe that's where that real Zasha is what we get to see, right? Talk to us a little bit about, you
Mm-hmm.
are in this world of you use AI in your day to day. How are you using it for social media? How are you using it for transactions, or to weed out any bad sponsors or even bad LPs for that matter? Help us understand how is Zasha using AI.
So for me, I'm probably way behind you. I use ChatGTP. I use it to like create different lead magnets, different marketing material for our fund. And we use it as a base too, right? It's an outline, it'll give you ideas, but you still have to put that personal spin on things. And especially when it comes to building relationships where you're raising money, like other people are investing in you, a lot of times it's like calls like this that are one-to-one. Reminder emails of course go out, and that can be automated by AI and the whole system. But for me, I think it's super important, even if I just shoot a text to someone from my phone checking in and it's in my voice, like I think sometimes that can't be replaced, because certain experiences, or like I'm a huge 49ers fan, so I know some of my LPs or my partners that are football fans. And so on Sundays, we're reconnecting and establishing that more personal connection outside of work. And I feel that is where things really flourish on that end, as far as just getting people to invest with you. On the social media side, a lot of things I use AI is sometimes to come up with different scripts or different ideas for videos. But I think it's important to still, like I mentioned, put your own personal touch to it, because people can tell when it is done by AI or an automated editing program versus just you like walking around your house or playing with your kids and outside and there be some text on it, or you just hopping into your car and having a conversation with, your audience, which is just you and your phone. But I think, like you said, it's just those different ideas that come to you randomly sometimes that you think about that AI can't really emulate. So I use it sparingly, but a lot of the automations that can already be done with emails, text messages, marketing, things like that. But I think it can't replace just the human interaction and connection that we make when we're speaking or creating a relationship
You're
with someone.
absolutely right in that. Even though it is advanced quite a bit, and we use a lot of AI in our posts and even in our interactions and whatnot. But until and unless it is touched by a human, none of our posts go out. Right? My team does a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that, but then if it is a personal post, then I have to look at it. I have to put my spin on it. I have to put my voice in it, and then only can it go
Yeah.
out. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with some of our communications via CRM, right? Hey, we have a product called Capital AI, which which we sell out in the market. It helps with all the communication with the clients and whatnot, and we use that for our own purposes. Eat your own dog food, and we do that. But then some of it can look monotonous. I will give you an example. Right, last week, one of our salespersons sent out an email, and it was to a known to person, somebody who's known to me, and they were like, yeah, I know Akash. I'll talk to him about it. And then I looked at that and I responded back saying that, hey, why don't you and I get on a call? And, hey, and it was something about the Cowboys. And I put in a comment in about the Cowboys. Now he knew it was me directly and we got on a call.
Mm-hmm.
So you cannot definitely replace those, like you talked about 49ers, I'm talking about Cowboys, right? I'm wearing a Maverick jersey. Hey, so a lot of sports is in our lives, right? And you cannot replace
Yeah.
that. Yeah, AI may find out that I am
Mm-hmm.
a Cowboys fan or a Mavericks fan, but still can't emulate the way I think about it. At least not till now. Hey, Zasha, hey, coming from
Yeah.
Hawaii, I and my family, we love to go to Hawaii. Early in the year, in May, we were in Hawaii. Talk to us a little bit about the food and the culture there, and hey, bring that out to some of the community here in the U.S. and in the mainland.
Yeah. So everybody here is about Ohana, is about family, is about, I'm also part Hawaiian. So we have lineage here. And I think it's really important, like I mentioned, just to stay grounded and just know that, everything that you do kind of affects people as a whole. And they call it, the aloha spirit. Have you
Of
experienced that?
course, of course.
Where people
You
are
know,
just really nice, just accommodating and thoughtful. And for me, there's no place like Hawaii. Here, living here, I would, even though it's expensive, that's why I found other ways and means to make sure that I could make enough to live here and have enough income. But for me, there's no place like it. You have the beach, you have mountains, you have, I think every type of forest in Hana. Did you go to Hana when you
we
came?
have, yes.
Yes. But don't you think there's just like in such being in such a small place, there's so many different types of environments even here. So for
Yeah,
me,
again, I think going to
mhm,
Hawaii, it's always so refreshing, right? All the nature and the beauty there is just something like, hey,
mhm.
your flower, your trademark, right there. Hey, my wife, she loves those, right?
Yeah. And I think, it just at the end of the day, it's just we only have one life to live, and where do you want to be? And you can do it. You can make it happen. And I think a lot of people, it's funny enough that a lot of people from Hawaii, they actually move to Las Vegas because they think, oh, it's cheaper. You can, there's a lot more to do. But at the same time, it's, you can create your life. And this, I never believed, and this is something I want to bring up too in like manifestation. And I am a woman of faith, but for me, I never really thought visualizing or writing affirmations or, like I still journaling. It wasn't my thing before, but it wasn't until I wanted a shift in my life, I wanted a change, that I started doing all these different types of, I would say, ways to improve personally that really help to change my life overall. And I think, like I mentioned in the beginning, it was just like you're taught one way to go. And until you do something different, you can't be different until you do something different. And for me, that has been and is still huge to this day.
One thing that is coming to mind is right. Hey, you and I both have been blessed to be in this
Mm-hmm.
real estate world, if you may. And again, I think if you look, even if you go back centuries or 50, 60, 100 years, right, most people who have made money, who have become wealthy either through enterprise or through real estate. Even basically enterprise meaning starting their own company or being a part of being a part of a startup, being a part of venture capital, creating something from scratch, or being a part of real estate. And that's why, to all our
Mm-hmm.
investors, to all our viewers, I am inviting you guys to take those either of the two paths. Zasha has done very, very well for herself with real estate. I have done very, very well for real estate and venture capital. So again, Zasha, you talked a little bit about venture capital. Tell us about what you invested in.
I can't speak because it hasn't been released yet, but I am excited because I trust the operators and I trust my partners who also invested in it. So this is something new to me. And even when I got started in real estate, it was brand new to me. I didn't even, yeah, in 2019, I just had bought my first house. So I'd never bought a house before. And then, I kind of followed what other people were doing. So same thing in this aspect was I'd never done invested in anything, a startup, and this was an upcoming thing that I know about. I'm educated. It has to do with a real estate platform. So I know real estate. If there's a need for this thing, then like I'm going to place my bet on it because my other partners and other successful people, and not to say you should just do it because other people are doing it, but just making sure that you can speak with them or vet it, and then other people who have been successful in doing it, it's like you don't have to create a new path if other people have already created it for you.
Very
So
cool.
anyway, that's my yeah.
Very cool. Hey,
I mean, but you have to get to a point like you invest a lot, right? Of course there's wins, but there is also ways that people can lose money, or it
absolutely.
is a little bit more risky. So this is definitely more risky. You have to be prepared to basically lose it all. So I'm well aware of that, but you have to get to that certain point to where, you're making enough financially or you're okay with where you're at to then have extra to kind of
No,
put
I'm
towards
I'm a
those
firm
types of
believer
things.
in venture capital. Hey, I'm a venture partner in a Silicon Valley venture capital firm. We invest in seed stage startups. I've been doing it for
Mm-hmm.
over a decade now. I've invested in more than 100 startups. And in fact, last week itself, I was at the Y Combinator demo day in the Silicon Valley, where we looked at about 131 startups presenting to us 2-minute pitches, and it was a blast. It was a blast. Hey, not
Wow.
only that, again, I think we just over the last couple of days heard some rumors that SpaceX is going to be IPOing next year, and their valuation is going to be about $1.5 trillion. $1.5 trillion in valuation. They're going to be IPOing at that, somewhere around that. That's a rumor that we are hearing.
Wow.
And I have a small position in SpaceX. So we'll see. But again, venture capital, amazing place to be. Hey, I'm glad for you that hey, you've invested in venture capital. Keeping our fingers crossed. This is good. That is going to be 100x, 1000x, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess too, so you over 100. So because I'm very new to venture capital, maybe you can give me like a ratio from your experience of, because you invest in startups, so not all startups take off. So what have you seen as the, I
So,
guess,
so one of the
percentage?
reasons we invest through a fund is primarily
Mm-hmm.
because of that, right? There's a lot of startups which fail, which don't even take off the ground, and
Mm-hmm.
we invest in very high risky seed stage startups, okay, which are just at the inception, if you may, not in Series A, B. Yes, I invest
Mm-hmm.
in Series A, B, C, but those are higher valuations. But I like to get in at a very, very low valuation place, and so generally what we've seen is I would say probably about 5%, if at all, will get you that 100x, okay, or
Mm-hmm.
50x, 100x, or an IPO, right? Or less than 5%, very less than 5%. And I think your 30-40% is going to be, hey, you get your money back and some. And you will have about 30-40%, which are going to drop fail. Okay. Now that is why what you do is you invest in a fund which is investing in some of these, hey, 10, 15, 20, 30 companies. Now, because what is going to happen is 30-40% will fail, 30%, 40% you'll make your money back, and then you'll have a few where you're hitting it out of the park, which is actually going to cover for everything which failed, everything you got your money back, and some. And that's what the general strategy is. And so yeah, so that's what our fund does in the Valley. Hey, we have a $15 million fund, and we've so far been second on our second fund, and we've invested currently in more than a dozen companies in this fund.
Wow. And that's exciting too for you guys because you get to see like support these people, new
Yeah. So
ideas.
every week, actually, I and my partners, we run through about 20 to 30 startups on 2 weekly calls. And hey, we evaluate them. Hey, we look at them back of the napkin. We then, if we like anything, then we go take a deeper look, and we then form a small team to do deeper, proper due diligence if we are interested in that company. So no, I am fascinated by that whole process. Been doing it for a while now. I love it. Hey,
Awesome. Yeah, that seems like very
we are almost
passion.
at time. Question about your crystal ball. I know you have a crystal ball. Tell us about what next year looks like for you and for the investors, and some nuggets for them if they're sitting on the sidelines.
I think, like they always say, the best time to invest is yesterday. The next best is today. Even, it's the end of the year right now as we're recording this, and a lot of people are slowing down. And that's normally when there's a lot more opportunity for those who are still taking action. So I want to challenge you guys, and even into the new year, I want to challenge you guys to be on the lookout for opportunities that might be around you that, you never noticed before. And for me, I feel like there's going to be a lot of opportunity to the end of this year and the beginning of next year. And you have to keep your money working. It's just sitting there and you're not doing anything with it or not taking any risk. And I mean, this is not financial advice, but if you have some seed money that is just sitting there, even for this past year, go and put it into something, whether that be venture capital, whether that be real estate, whether that be more into the stock market. Just put it into something that will give you a return. But do your education, I mean, do your research, educate yourself, of course, do your due diligence, talk to people like us who, we have our own companies, but just get to know other people that are doing something different. And I think that's how you're going to make real change in your life and build real wealth, is talking to people who've been successful and aren't the ones waiting on the sidelines, aren't the ones that, are scared whenever there's a political announcement or all these news channels, have all these conversations about the real estate market crashing. There's still good deals out there. You just have to know how to find them. So I think that's what my prediction is I think that AI is going to be taking off in this next year as well. It already has advanced so much. So making sure you're utilizing AI in your business in multiple different ways so that you can be more efficient, save money and save time, but more so concentrate on building real relationships with people that are already successful so you can stay on top of it. And thank you, Akesh, for having me on this podcast, because I feel very blessed to have met you and to be around a dreamer, be around a doer, being around an action taker who has had so much success.
No, Zasha, thank you so much for being on the show, being on the podcast. Trust before transaction, right? That's what I heard from you. Hey, family time. Hey, being in the community, guys. Follow Zasha. She's on Instagram. She's on LinkedIn. We'll have her details at the end of the podcast as well. So follow her. She's a wealth of knowledge. Link up with her. She's not shy about telling you about various different things and how you should invest. So please, please, please. And Zasha, thank you so much. Mahalo. Thank you.
We hope.